How much sorrow hides behind the laughter in the dazzling world of the circus, where applause echoes and children's laughter fills the air. Have you ever stopped to look into the eyes of the performing animals? Have you ever wondered what stories they hold, what secrets they keep behind their forced smiles and trained routines? Today, we're going to peel back the curtain, step away from the bright lights, and listen to a story that needs to be told. It's a story about an elephant, a giant of the earth, who spent his life entertaining us while his own heart was breaking. Imagine a vast circus tent, a colossal canvas cathedral alive with vibrant colors. The air buzzes with excitement, smelling of popcorn and cotton candy. The ringmaster, in his shiny red coat, commands the stage with a booming voice, and then he enters. A magnificent elephant, adorned with a glittering headdress and a silken blanket. The crowd roars, children point, their faces alight with wonder. He balances on a tiny stool, lifts his front leg in a salute, and even paints a clumsy flower on a canvas. Everyone claps, everyone cheers. It's a spectacle of joy, a celebration of the extraordinary. But let's look closer. Past the glittering costume, notice the thick, heavy chains around his ankles. See the deep, ancient sadness in his eyes that have seen too much. His skin, thick and wrinkled, bears faint scars, a roadmap of his past that the bright lights try so hard to conceal. This is Ryu, and for him, the circus is not a place of joy. It's a prison. Ryu's story didn't begin under the big top. It began far away in the lush, green jungles of Asia. He was just a baby, no bigger than a large dog, when his world was shattered. He remembers the scent of the rain-soaked earth, the sound of his mother's rumbling calls, and the feeling of her massive, protective body next to his. His days were filled with discovery, tasting new leaves, splashing in muddy watering holes, and learning the complex social language of his herd. He was part of a family, a community that stretched back generations. He was free. Then came the day of fire and noise. The terrifying sounds of vehicles and shouting men echoed through his peaceful home. He was separated from his mother, his frantic trumpeting cries lost in the chaos. He remembers her desperate struggle, her eyes wide with fear as she tried to reach him. That was the last time he ever saw her. The memory is a raw, open wound that has never healed. The journey that followed was a blur of terror and confusion. He was crammed into a dark, rattling cage. The familiar scents of the forest were replaced by the stench of diesel and fear. When he finally emerged, it was into a world of concrete and bars. His training began immediately. It wasn't about learning. It was about breaking his spirit. The trainers used a cruel tool called a bullhook, a sharp metal hook used to poke and jab him in the most sensitive parts of his body, behind his ears, around his eyes, under his chin. Every trick he learned was born from pain. To make him stand on his hind legs, they would restrain his front legs and beat him until he complied. To make him lie down, they would trip him with ropes and punish him for resisting. His natural instincts were twisted and suppressed. He was taught that disobedience meant pain, and obedience was the only way to survive. The playful, curious baby elephant was slowly, systematically erased. In his place was a performer, an automaton who moved on command, his spirit shackled long before the physical chains were ever clasped around his ankles. So now, when you see him in the ring, balancing on that stool, what you're really seeing is the memory of pain. He isn't balancing because he's skilled. He is balancing because he is terrified of the sharp jab of the bullhook that will come if he fails. When he lifts his leg to salute, it's not a greeting. It's a learned response to avoid punishment. The laughter of the crowd is a strange, hollow sound to him. It is the soundtrack to his suffering. The show ends, the lights dim, and the audience goes home, their hearts full of the magic of the circus. But for Ryu, the performance never truly ends. He is led back to his barren enclosure, a small, cold concrete pen. The heavy chains are reattached, restricting his movement so he can barely take a step in any direction. Here, in the lonely darkness, the mask falls away. There are no more crowds to please, no more trainers to fear for the moment. There is only the silence and the ghosts of his past. He stands swaying slightly, a common stress behavior in captive elephants known as zoochosis. And sometimes, when the night is very quiet, something extraordinary happens. A tear, thick and heavy, will trace a path down his weathered face. Then another and another, the great circus elephant cries. He cries for the mother he can barely remember, for the warmth of her touch and the safety of the herd. He cries for the sun-drenched forests, the freedom to roam for miles, and the simple joy of wallowing in a cool river. He cries for the life that was stolen from him, a life of family, of nature, of being what he was born to be, a wild elephant. These silent, nightly tears are his only rebellion, his only expression of the profound sorrow that lives deep within him. Years turned into decades. Ryu grew older, his body weaker, the tricks harder to perform. The sparkle in his eye had long since faded, replaced by a dull, resigned emptiness. But even in the darkest of nights, a flicker of hope can ignite. News of Ryu's plight, of the tears of the circus elephant, began to spread. Animal welfare organizations and compassionate individuals learned of his story. They saw beyond the spectacle and recognized the suffering. They knew they had to act. A campaign began. It was a long and difficult battle, fought in courtrooms and in the court of public opinion. The circus, which saw Ryu as a valuable asset, a money-making machine, resisted fiercely. But the movement grew stronger. People from all over the world raised their voices for Ryu, demanding his freedom. They shared his story, signed petitions, and donated to fund his rescue. Finally, after a grueling legal fight, the day came. The chains, which had been his constant companions for 50 years, were unbolted for the last time. It was a moment of incredible tension and emotion. Ryu was cautious, hesitant. He had known nothing but confinement for so long. Could he dare to hope? He was carefully loaded onto a specially designed truck for the long journey to his new home, a sprawling elephant sanctuary. This wasn't a journey of fear, but one of liberation. The rescue team spoke to him in soft, gentle tones, offering him fresh fruit and water. For the first time in his life, he was treated not as a commodity, but as a living, feeling being. When the truck doors opened at the sanctuary, Ryu took his first steps onto soft earth. He tentatively touched the grass with his trunk, a texture he hadn't felt since he was a baby. He looked up at the vast, open sky, not framed by the top of a tent, but endless and blue. And then he heard a sound, a low, gentle rumble. It was the sound of other elephants. Slowly, other rescued elephants from the sanctuary approached. They reached out their trunks, gently touching him, smelling him, communicating in their own complex language. They were welcoming him. For the first time in half a century, Ryu was not alone. He was with his own kind. He wasn't a performer anymore. He was just Ryu, an elephant, home at last. In the days and weeks that followed, a transformation occurred. The deep-seated sadness in his eyes began to lift. He learned to play again, splashing in the sanctuary's large lake with his new friends. He rediscovered the simple pleasure of dusting himself with sand and scratching against a tree. He no longer cried alone in the dark. His scars remained, a testament to his past, but they were now just that, a memory. He was finally free to heal. Ryu's story has a hopeful ending, but he is one of the lucky ones. Thousands of other wild animals are still held captive in circuses around the world, forced to perform unnatural and often painful tricks for human entertainment. Elephants, tigers, bears, and monkeys are subjected to brutal training methods and live in inadequate conditions that cause severe physical and psychological distress. The glamour and fun of the circus hides a dark reality. These intelligent, social animals are deprived of everything that is natural and important to them. They are denied the right to roam, to socialize with their own kind, to raise their young, and to simply live as they were meant to. A circus ring is no place for a wild animal. Ryu's journey from a chained performer to a free individual sends a powerful message. Freedom is a universal right. It is not something reserved for humans alone. Wild animals belong in the wild or in sanctuaries that can provide them with a life as close to natural as possible. They are not our entertainers. They are not clowns. They are sentient beings who experience joy, fear, and profound grief, just as we do. So the next time you hear about a circus with animal acts, remember Ryu. Remember his tears. Remember the choice we have as consumers and as compassionate human beings. We can choose not to support an industry that profits from animal suffering. We can choose to support organizations that work tirelessly to rescue and rehabilitate animals like Ryu. We can be a voice for the voiceless. Let us work towards a world where the only place you see a tiger jumping is through a sunbeam in the jungle, and the only time an elephant stands on its hind legs is to reach for a delicious branch high in a tree. Let's create a world where no animal has to cry tears of sorrow in the dark, and where all beings can live the life they were born to live, a life of dignity and freedom. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, please share it. The more people who know the truth behind animal entertainment, the faster we can bring about change. Follow our channel for more stories that matter. Together, we can make a difference.